السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بكم. وعندنا الآن الدرس 11. We're on lesson 11 now of Medina book 2, and inshallah this dialogue, the first dialogue, it goes, there's a little bit on the next page also, but inshallah after I read the dialogue I will just highlight on the dialogue the rules that we'll cover today, inshallah, examples of some of those rules. So I'm going to start reading from here, inshallah. Fil hafila. Al-Hafila is the bus, on the bus. So Al-Awwal. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. ما اسمك يا أخي؟ اسمي عبد الله. وما اسمك؟ اسمي فيصل. أطالب أنت يا عبد الله؟ نعم. أين تدرس يا أخي؟ أدرس بجامعة الرياض. فيصل: في أي كلية تدرس؟ أدرس في كلية الهندسة. في أي سنة تدرس؟ أدرس في السنة الثانية. أتعرف المهندس سلمان؟ طبعا، هو أستاذي، هو أحسن مدرس في الكلية. من هؤلاء الفتية الذين معك؟ كأنهم إخوتك. نعم، هؤلاء إخوتي، لي 4 إخوة و3 أخوات. أين يدرس هؤلاء؟ أما إخوتي فكلهم يدرسون بالجامعة. عيسى هو أكبر مني، يدرس في كلية الطب. وإبراهيم يدرس في كلية التجارة. وإسحاق يدرس في كلية الآداب. وإسماعيل يدرس في كلية العلوم. وهؤلاء ال3 أصغر مني. وأما الأخوات فيدرسن في المدرسة المتوسطة. زينب تدرس في السنة الأولى، وسلمى تدرس في السنة الثانية، وليلى تدرس في السنة الثالثة. في أي مدرسة تدرس أخواتك؟ يدرسن في مدرسة خالد بن الوليد للبنات بمكة. أين تسكنون يا أنتم؟ إخوتي يسكنون في مهاجع الجامعة، أما أنا فأسكن مع قريب لي. أمتزوج أنت يا عبد الله؟ لا، لست بمتزوج. ما عنوانك؟ هذه بطاقتي فيها عنواني. So in this lesson, the main focus of this lesson is learning al-fi'l al-mudari', the present tense verb, and how we conjugate it for the different pronouns to show who's speaking. So as you can see, أين تدرس? Where do you study? أدرس, that's the response with alif a. Okay, تدرس again. So we just highlight some of these examples of the present tense verb. As the past tense was darasa, and the present tense is يدرس. So تدرس أنت, أدرس أنا. Okay, so that's the usage of the present tense verb. Also, in this lesson, we learn the usage of amma. Amma is when we have a comparison between two things and we want to give extra detail about one of those things, then we use amma. That's it. Yeah. So then that's the main things on this page that we will discuss, inshallah, throughout this chapter. But again, just make sure you know your vocab. Also, yes, qaribin li, this point to mention as well. We'll mention all of this throughout this lesson, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So let's go to the next slide and now complete the dialogue and see if there's anything else missing from the rules of what is going to be covered in this lesson, inshallah. So finishing the dialogue, it says: أشكرك يا أخي، أنا مسرور بلقائك، أنا سأنزل في المحطة القادمة، في أمان الله وإلى اللقاء. هذا الباب للدخول يا سيدي، النزول من هناك. جميل. So of the other things that we're going to learn in this lesson is الدخول والنزول. This is the masdar, the verbal noun. Okay, that's also of the things to be discussed within this lesson, inshallah ta'ala. So here you have normal أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. Answer the following questions, usually extracted from the dialogue. صحح ما يلي. Correct the following. Again, it's going to be sentences from the dialogue that we just read. And then here we have أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. هذه الأسئلة ليست مبنية أو مبنية على الدرس الحادي عشرة. It said answer these questions. These questions are not based upon lesson 11. So you have to just look at these questions, and if it's addressing you, by like, and as you'll see in the example أين تدرس أنت, that's addressing you, then you're going to answer the question. All of these questions are addressing you, second person, so you'd answer them accordingly, inshallah. Here it says number 4. تأمل الأمثلة ثم ضع في الفراغ فيما يلي المضارع من الفعل ذهب بعد إسناده إلى الضمير. So it says ponder over the examples and then place in the empty space this verb, but the present tense version, which is يذهب, or after attaching it to the correct pronoun. So again, after attaching it to the correct pronoun, you need to fill in these spaces with the correct usage of the verb, the correct usage of the verb. So who is it talking about? For example, we know if it was Anna, if you're talking about me, I'll be Anna أذهب, for example. But if it was هو, he, it will be يذهب. Okay. And if it was أنت تذهب. Like this. So you're going to choose the correct version of the verb to place in this missing gap to complete the sentence correctly, inshallah. On the next page, on the next exercise, the bottom exercise, but that continues on to the next page, it says أكمل الجملة الآتية بوضع فعل مضارع مناسب. Complete the following sentence by placing a suitable فعل المضارع. So here it says, for example, right here, الطلاب something, كرة القدم كل مساء. So the students something, football every evening. What's a suitable verb? To play. But you have to place it in its present tense form. So the verb to play, for example, we just do this one for you just to give you an example. The verb to play is لعب. Okay, what's the present tense? يلعب. But here it says الطلاب. Okay, so now I need to use the plural version of this. So it's going to be يلعبون. الطلاب يلعبون كرة القدم كل مساء. Like this. So on the next page you'll see a number of sentences that you'll need to place a suitable, i.e. one that completes the meaning of a present tense verb in those empty spaces, inshallah. So here you can see you have 12 sentences to place in these empty spaces a suitable present tense verb. So look at your vocab list to choose the correct suitable verb based on what the sentences say, inshallah. Then you have here حول المبتدأ في كل من الجمل الآتية إلى جمع. So you need to change the mubtada, the first noun in each of these sentences, to plural. I'm going to show you this first one because there's an important point here. And for example, here it says الطالب يدخل الفصل. If I said now الطلاب الطلاب, I can't say يدخل because that's for singular. I actually now need to use the plural form of the verb to say يدخلون. يدخلون الفصل. Or you could even say يدخلون الفصول. Both of them would be correct because they might all be entering one classroom or they might be entering their classrooms as it is. The important point to understand is though, if you're starting with the noun and the verb comes after the noun, the verb has to match the noun. If the noun is plural, the verb is going to be plural. However, let's say I started the sentence with the verb. I start the sentence with the verb and I say يدخل الطالب الفصل. يدخل الطالب الفصل. Even if I change this noun to plural, I still keep the verb as يدخل. We use the singular. The obviously, because the verb starts, it's the singular of the gender of the noun that is doing the verb. So here, I would say يدخل الطلاب. Okay. Now, because I said the verb first, it matches the singular gender of this noun, which is masculine. We wouldn't say يدخلون الطلاب, we say الطلاب يدخلون. But as for if you start with the verb يدخل الطلاب, like this. So then again, you're going to apply this rule now to the rest of these sentences up to number 10 here. Also you have here now أنث الفاعل في كل من الجمل الآتية. Make the verb, the doer of the verb feminine in all of the following sentences. So it says أين يدرس أخوك يا علي? Where does your brother study, O Ali? And this is أين تدرس أختك يا علي? So تدرس, the pattern تفعل تذهب, is the same for both أنت, you masculine, هي, she feminine. Okay, it's the same pattern for both. You will know in context I mention of the doer who is actually being referred to when using this verb pattern تفعل, which is used for both هي and أنت masculine. So again, you're going to change all of these verbs to match this. So أين يدرس أخوك يا علي? يشرب أبي القهوة. So how are you going to say this? You're going to change it to feminine. So you have to change Abi to obviously Ummi or something like this. And Yashrab was going to be changed also. So again, you change these verbs just like it's been done in the example to show that it's a feminine doer. There's a feminine person doing the verb now. It says حول الفعل في كل من الجمل الآتية إلى مضارع. So basically change all of these verbs in the sentences to present tense. So أنا ذهبت إلى السوق. I went to the market. أنا أذهب إلى السوق. I'm going to the market. That's the difference. Okay, the past tense ذهبت, أذهب, present tense. So you're going to apply the same rule to all of these sentences that follow using the correct attached pronouns to show who's doing the actual verb, inshallah. So you're going to continue that until you do 10 sentences again, and that will just help drill in this rule. Then we have تأمل المثالين ثم حول الأفعال في الجمل الآتية إلى أفعال منفية. So basically ponder over the two examples, 1, 2, and then change the verbs in these following sentences to verbs that are negated, to negated verbs. So the key thing here is, look at this. We have أكتب أحمد الدرس. No, عفوا. كتب أحمد الدرس. So كتب is your past tense verb. يكتب أحمد الدرس. Ahmed is writing lesson. This is present tense. Now, how do I negate the past tense and how do I negate the present tense? So if it's a past tense verb, كتب أحمد الدرس, Ahmed wrote the lesson. ما كتب, I use ما. Ma is used to negate past tense verbs. If I'm negating a present tense and future verb, I use لا. لا. لا يكتب أحمد الدرس. Ahmed is not writing the lesson. أنا لا أذهب إلى المدرسة. I'm not going to school. So this is how I negate, either with ma for past tense or la for present tense. So you have to look at all of these sentences. أنا أشرب الشاي. So again, how do you negate these sentences? Look, is the verb past or is it present? Because that will determine which of this ma or la that I use, inshallah. Then here we have تأمل الأمثلة ثم أجب على الأسئلة الآتية مستعملا حرف الاستقبال. So look at the following examples, 1, 2, 3, and answer the following questions using the letter of future. The letter of future is sa, sin, for سيرجع إلى المدير غدا. سأذهب, I will go. So that sa, the sin is called حرف الاستقبال, and it's for near future. He says أذهب إلى الملعب كل مساء. سأذهب هذا المساء إلى المكتبة. So again, the usage of سأذهب, I will go. Then you have 1 to 6. 6 sentences to answer using the future tense letter attached to the verb. It comes attached to the verb after you've conjugated the verb to whoever it is talking about. So متى يرجع أبوك من بغداد يا علي؟ سيرجع بعد أسبوع. Now you have أين تذهب هذا المساء. Then you're going to say sa and then the verb that you need to say it in the correct conjugation with the pronoun. Who's it talking about? Who's answering? Who's responding? Okay, and that's the usage of scene of istiqbal, the scene of future. It says اقرأ المثالين ثم اكتب مصادر الأفعال الآتية على غرارها. It says look at the following verbs, look at the examples, and then write the masdar of the following verbs on the same pattern. So all of them have the same form of the masdar. So for example, دخل يدخل دخول. He entered, he's entering, entering. It's the name of the actual action is the masdar. So خرج يخرج خروج. Like this. So you're going to apply this to all of these verbs, filling in the gaps, making the form of fu'ul for the masdar of these verbs. It says اقرأ الجملة الآتية وعين مصادر الواردة فيها. So read the following sentences and then underline the masdar. Underline the masdar that is present within these sentences. For example, لهذه الحافلة بابان هذا للدخول وذاك للخروج. So where's the masadir, where's the masdar? In this example you have للدخول وللخروج. So you're going to apply the same principles to the next next sentences to come, inshallah. Of the last lesson, the last points to know in this lesson is تأمل الأمثلة ثم أجب الأسئلة مستعملا أما. For example, it says أين تسكنون? Where do you all live? إخوتي يسكنون في مهاجع الجامعة أما أنا فأسكن مع قريب لي. As for me, then I live with a relative of mine. You can read the rest of the examples and apply this rule, but not sufficient is here. The usages that we're discussing is amma. Now, whatever you say amma, and then the person you're talking about, the information about them, it starts with fa. It starts with fa, always. So this is when you're comparing between two things and you want to give that detail. So where do you all live? إخوتي يسكنون في مهاجع الجامعة. My brothers live in the university headquarters. أما أنا, as for me, فأسكن, then I live, like this. Then this is how we use أما fa. So this is amma is used to give more details. So again, apply that rule to read the example and apply it to each of the sentences that remain, inshallah. Then we have here تأمل الأمثلة الآتية, and this is the difference between أخي and أخ لي. أخي and أخ لي. If I say أخي, this is specific, my brother. But if I say أخ, لي, this means a brother of mine. So it's not specific, no one knows who you're actually talking about. If you say صديق لي, a friend of mine, قريب لي, a relative of mine. But as soon as you make it direct with the ya, that is of ownership, that becomes specific. As soon as you say it with ya, or ya lil mutakallim, a first person speaking of ownership, that becomes specific. Akhi, I'm talking about my brother. But if I say akhun li, I'm talking about a brother of mine. You cannot actually specify which brother I'm actually talking about. So that's the usage of using the indefinite with li. Sadiqun li, a friend of mine. Ustadun li, a teacher of mine. Like this, okay? So that's all the rules that we discussed in lesson 11 of book 2, inshallah. The main emphasis is learning and using the present tense verb. In your kalimat al-jadida, your new words, make sure you learn and start implementing these verbs, inshallah ta'ala, and practicing your usage of the Arabic language. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, inshallah, and I'll see you next lesson. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.